This is the Ready Set Podcast, and here's your host, me, Joe Persinger. Hey, how was your week, you fucks? Well, as most of you know, I'll be heading to Hawaii for 6 months, but don't feel sorry for me. It's a business trip, and I'll be working nonstop on a boat. I mean a ship, whatever you call it. You know what they call a wall, a bulkhead on a ship? And have you ever heard the term, I gotta go to the head? Well, if you're wondering where that came from, that's mariner speak, believe it or not. Anyway, what does that mean for the podcast? I'm sure you're asking yourself. Well, there's definitely going to be a shift in the content we discuss. I think I'm going to call it The Captain's Log, brought to you by the Ready Set Podcast Network. I'll have more details on that next week, and I'll kind of keep everybody updated through Facebook and Twitter about how and where the podcast can be listened to in the near future. I believe I'm not going to be able to use YouTube while I'm out there. I think the podcast will probably just be available through Spreaker and possibly Apple Podcast. I will get everyone updated on that. And now that we got that out of the way, let's do this. This is your one-stop shop current events and politics podcast. If society's a joke, then we're just here for the first set. Are you ready? Set Podcast! Can you imagine creating a TV show out of thin air, it becoming a legendary TV series, then making $400 million off of it in syndication and royalties? What if I told you 20 years later you end up licensing it to Netflix for $100 million in one payment? That's a lot of cheddar. Good Lord, that's a lot of cheese. It's a nice throwback to the Great America days. Remember riding the Iron Wolf with Steve-O in the back row and screaming, "Good Lord, that's a lot of cheese," as the coaster goes down in its first decline. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the rich get richer. $100 million, 100 million clams for something you created and finished 20 years ago. This is the life of Jerry Seinfeld. But according to an insider who needn't want to be named, the decision also stemmed from Jerry taking his other show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, to Netflix a few years ago, and thus the partnership was a match made in heaven. Also, an executive Seinfeld preferred to work with at Sony, which owned Crackle, left the company, and when the executive left, Seinfeld was behind him. All right, I'm done with this one. All right, what we got here next? Okay, I'm not claiming I know what consistent great decision making is. No one is perfect, but I can confidently say that the start of a good decision begins with the discipline of not signing your life rights over to a guy named Ray J. Maybe that's just me, but this does not suggest someone has a track record of making good decisions. But that's exactly what Suge Knight has done, and considering he's sitting in a jail cell attempting not to be broke, I guess chips and soda isn't cheap in the canteen in the California Department of Corrections. And given what he has just done by signing his life rights over to a guy named Ray J, I'd say his decision-making is flawed, at best. Wow, we are just flying through this. Okay, so has anyone seen any of these parodies of someone splicing in Trump's speeches and auto-tuning them so it sounds like he's singing? And I use very, very heavy air quotes there. A Nirvana, an AC/DC, a Metallica song? I mean, I guess if you're one of these liberals who spends 55 hours a week hating Trump, you probably don't find this funny. But it's fucking hilarious. Okay, this episode might get pulled off YouTube. Klaus, let's play some of these. Let's do the Nirvana ones.
Hello, with the lights out. It's less dangerous. Here we are now. Entertain us.
All right, let's hit you guys with some Come As You Are, Trump style.
Choices yours. Don't be late. Take a breath. As a friend, as an old memory.
And this one's my personal favorite. It's a little DJT, but to TNT. Hit it, Klaus.
Lock up the back door and run for your life. The man is back in town. Don't you to mess me around. 'Cause I am BJT.
Let it breathe, Klaus.
Dynamite. BJT.
Hey!
I'll win the fight. BJT.
I did not like this.
I'm a power load. BJT. Watch me explode.
That's good stuff right there. And as entertaining as these are to watch, like for instance the Come As You Are one, they have I think Kim Jong-un spliced in it. It just check it out on YouTube. It's really funny stuff. But I'm also curious how much time these people have to sift through speeches and pull out one word, auto-tune it, lay the audio track over it. I mean, talk about a long project. I can only surmise this is some kid not doing his homework or a food service worker living in a subsidized life in his parents' basements on a computer he got for Christmas after bullying his mom and dad and claiming no one loves him. Or it could just be a passionate Trump supporter. Who the fuck knows? All right. So a former JetBlue employee is facing up to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty in a Boston federal court on Friday to scamming the airline out of nearly $1 million in flights. I don't understand people that do this. According to the report, she used the code. So there's a code that you can use to. Of course, I didn't really write this down properly. So there's a code you can use to. I think it's for when you want to take a flight. Like, let's say you missed your flight or your flight's delayed and they need to reassign you to another flight. There's a code you can use that basically it's like, if you're a server, it voids or comps, whatever. It's something like that. So she used this code over 500 times to, I guess, lower the price and sell off the tickets. The article really wasn't that clear on what exactly the value of that $1 million was. Was it cash? Was it just tickets she was handing out to friends and family? We don't know. But did she not think someone in accounting was going to notice that? I mean, I can only imagine sitting in an office and the phone rings. And it's, hey, Greg, this is Karen from accounting. Do you happen to know why one of your gate agents is using our bereavement and missed flight code for over 500 times? You there, Greg? Now, the article states she scammed the airline out of $1 million, like I was saying earlier. And I'm guessing she wasn't pocketing that cash. But like I said, that must be figured out of the value of the flights given to her friends and family. I really wish they were more clear on that. I mean, I doubt she's sitting with $1 million under her bed, so that's got to be based on the value of the flights. But it's funny how they kind of twist the language so it sounds more glamorous than what it is. So she uses this code 500 times with over 100 passengers within those transactions, I guess. I mean, can you get any more greedy? Do you not know when to stop? If you're in the midst of robbing a bank, I can understand grabbing a few extra stacks in your haste to get out of there. But this isn't cash money, honey. People are fucking idiots. All right, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Uncle Joe's Lemonade. Hand-picked lemons from the organic brick-and-mortar corporate giants. It's hand-squeezed like Robert Kraft in a Miami area massage parlor. A drink so refreshing, it quenches your thirst faster than a virgin in a whorehouse after overdosing on Viagra. Sweet like the girl next door you tried to sleep with, and tart like the girl who took your virginity in an Embassy Suite hotel while your friends were getting drunk in the room right next to you. I love reading these things. We use the freshest local ingredients and apply an old family recipe that was stolen from the Egyptian tombs during the Victorian raids of the 19th century. Ethics? What ethics? We're making lemonade, bitch. Uncle Joe's Lemonade. It's sweet. All right. Gotta love the sponsors. All right, so the media is misleading you at every possible angle, and here's your headline. Former Bush and McCain GOP strategist blast Trump's corruption. Here's what's being said and by whom. White House Steve Schmidt, an ex-Republican strategist who worked for President George W. Bush and the late Senator John McCain, I think it's like his chief of staff or something, has slammed President Donald Trump and his administration for its corruption. So regardless of this headline, of what it screams, the truth lies in the meat of this headline. So what the media is, they're misleading you. So here, what they're saying, this former Bush and McCain GOP strategist blasts Trump's corruption. So right off the top, they're trying to get you, an independent, a Democrat, or maybe a Republican who's not really paying attention to kind of, I don't know if conform's the right word, but they want to get inside your brain and kind of convince you that there's this part of the Republican Party that is just disgusted by Trump. Now they're lying to you, and they're lying to you by omission. But let's first ask ourselves, what is the fake? This is from Newsweek, by the way. So what is the fake Newsweek trying to accomplish here? Simple. They want you, the reader, to feel validated. And if you're a Democrat or a conflicted Republican or an independent, like I was saying, who supports Trump, they want you to feel outraged, and they want you to come to that assessment without you having to do the homework. Second, the real hard-hitting follow-up questions. Why and how? For starters, this impeachment inquiry is a moving goalpost. First, it was a quid pro quo brought by a whistleblower. But then the transcript is released, and now it's about cherry-picking information out of glorified depositions from witnesses called by Adam Shifty Schiff. And this Ukraine no scandal is a nothing burger. This is just like the Russia scandal. If there was a smoking gun, if there was damning information, it would have been leaked. It'd be all over the media. But instead, we're seeing this cherry-picked information make its way into the public domain and being parroted by the fake news media and then repackaged through these never-Trump Republicans via quotes to look like there's a growing opinion amongst Republicans that it's time to remove Trump from office. What's being misrepresented here is the fractional divide that is within the Republican Party, with one small caveat. This divide within the party stems from the classic old guard establishment Republicans, the Bush dynasty, rhinos like John McCain, war heroes don't get captured, by the way, and Mitt Pierre Del Taco Romney. Actually, I think it's Delectico, but every time I read it, it reads Del Taco to me. And then there's some Ronald Reagan leftovers. This is the never Trump camp, a small sliver of the Republican Party whose corporate politics line more with establishment Democrats than the everyday independent Republican voter. And you can most likely put in the Ed Koch guy. One of them's dead, but whatever, never Trumpers. You don't believe me? You think the Republican Party is just one giant umbrella where everyone is... I mean, you could almost say everyone is almost for Trump. There's at least 8% against him. I think I get into that in a little bit. But you don't believe that this is a thing? Are you really believing that the mainstream media is telling you the truth when it comes to this small sliver of Republicans that are against Trump? Well, let's take a quick detour. What do rich guys on both sides of the political aisle have in common? Nannies? Gardeners? Just help around the house? Or in other words, cheap immigrant labor? Why don't Republicans and Democrats pass these amnesty immigration laws when either had the House? The Democrats had it earlier in this, 2006 to about 2010. Republicans had it up until this last midterm election. Why won't they pass these amnesty laws? Cheap fucking labor, that's why. If you don't have to shell out health insurance to the help, why would you pass or write laws requiring you to do so? I mean, if you could choose to pay or not pay taxes, what do you think the majority of people would choose? They wouldn't pay taxes. Exactly. Now let's get back to these never Trump fucks. Have you seen the polls measuring Trump's popularity within the Republican Party? It varies between 6 and 8%, depending on the pollster, but this is your never Trump camp. A small faction of corporate rhino Republican politicians, that's redundant, Republican in name only politicians who are now in such disarray, they look like an NFL team still preaching defense and a power running game that wins championships in today's current passing league. You needn't look no further than Mitt Pierre Delectico, whatever, Romney, who still is using the old "I don't cheat on my wife" trope as a dig on the current U.S. president. Hey, Mitt! You're not fooling anyone. Everyone knows you dirtbag senators are banging one of your junior staffers. My only point here is that Democrats and the fake news media, my bad, that's redundant, are using these fake news tropes of never Trump Republican rhinos being outraged by Trump to either validate your soy boy Democrat feelings or guilt you independent Republicans based on not knowing the full scale of dirty DC swamp politics into supporting a witch hunt and impeachment inquiry that will no doubt backfire on these progressive Democrat fucks like Nervous Nancy and Adam Shifty Schiff. So if you scroll through the news and start seeing that there are Republicans from the Bush and Romney McCain camps outraged by Trump, ignore it. Because those fucks are the old guard attempting to take control of a party they lost to Donald Trump, and they'll do anything to get it back. They might be on an island floating through the swamp without a party to call home, but they will sell the executive branch and the silent majority coalition Trump has amassed in the Republican Party to team up with Democrats to remove a U.S. president from office in an election year. And that's why when you read bullshit headlines like this, you should keep scrolling through and ignore the fake news media's attempt at conning you into believing this fairy tale they call the Ukraine scandal that will lead to Trump being removed from office. Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Alright, well, we live in a digital world where information flows through the atmosphere like air currents and jet streams. And this thing called the internet distributes this information and funnels it into various devices ranging from wall-mounted flat-screen TVs to a laptop, a tablet, or even that dinky phone you own. Because you're too cheap to upgrade to the plus-size version. But you claim your vision is that good. Yeah, okay, pal. Well, with all this technology and new and improved techware, with all this high-powered internet, isn't it annoying to know that the only way to watch an out-of-market NFL game is on DirecTV? Sure, there's illegal streams, but we're not talking about that aspect of it. Yes, it exists. I'll acknowledge that. But I don't want to watch NFL games on a faulty can go down at any minute stream with pop-ups on an old computer that is slowly being raped and ravaged by said pop-up ads. Quickly, let's start at the beginning. So about 20 years ago, the NFL signed an exclusive deal with the satellite company DirecTV to broadcast all out-of-market NFL games on their satellite service. DirecTV is reportedly paying about $1.5 billion a year for the exclusive rights. Not a bad deal 20 years ago. Even then, that was still pretty steep. But there's a problem. No one watches TV like they did in the post-Clinton era. Large swaths of people are cutting their cable. Some rely on Roku sticks, YouTube TV, some just watch Netflix. And satellite TV is no stranger to this danger. DirecTV is now seeing the writing on the wall. Oh, not because they've got their soulless corporate fat cat fingers on the pulse of American TV watching habits. I mean, maybe they do, but actually they don't. And I'm going to tell you why. They're losing about $500 million a year on this lucrative deal they have with the NFL. Everyone knows the way to a capitalist critical thinking isn't logic or flattery. It's the bottom line. We're losing how much on this deal? 500 what? I thought these mindless rubes would remain loyal to us as long as we have the NFL. Where's Greg? Greg! So now that DirecTV is contemplating getting out of the NFL exclusive rights deal, this could open up the digital airways to NFL streaming rights. To whom? Amazon just signed a deal with Thursday Night Football. Facebook and YouTube have been broadcasting Major League Baseball games, and I'm pretty sure YouTube broadcasted an NFL game a few years ago. I think they had some Thursday night broadcasts or something. And let's not forget, there's an arms race of digital streaming platforms taking place within the big broadcast companies as well. You have Disney Plus, NBC, They're all trying to take on Netflix, basically. So there's a bidding market for this to happen. But fuck that shit. If it happens, it's better than what we have right now, regardless of who gets it. As long as it gets the fuck off DirecTV, honestly. But what I would like to see is a model that is something similar to what Major League Baseball does. It's the perfect model for all these fans like me who are forced to watch your favorite team from a different market. You pay $25 a month to watch your favorite baseball team on your phone or computer in any out-of-market city. So if you're a Chicago Cubs fan and you're in Chicago, you're going to be blacked out because you can just watch that shit on TV. But if you're like me, stuck in Hawaii, you'll have access to the game. I mean, this would be perfect. You could even tier packages, so the more access to out-of-market teams you have, the more you pay. Anyway, that's what I would like to see. And let me get back to my original point here. The NFL, when it comes to watching games on TV, is operating like it's 2002. Broadcast and satellite TV is a thing of the past. Hardly anyone uses these platforms on a regular basis anymore. The internet and all its hardware is the future of overall broadcasting. Everyone has a TV in their pocket. I mean, why do you think Disney's going with Disney Plus? They know there's all these screens in people's pockets that could watch their stream, and you know they're going to shove ads down your throat. Everyone has access to a TV on their tablet or laptop. So why the hell is the NFL relying on a dying model of exclusive rights for a broadcasting platform that no one is subscribed to anymore? Well, I can think of 1.5 billion reasons. That's short-sighted. By the NFL, it is. Think about how much more money is out there. I mean, you're selling exclusive rights to a platform that barely anyone uses, so you can pocket 1.5 billion. Fucking A. The NFL doesn't even need these tech giants, really. They can create their own NFL TV digital media platform, offer games directly to the consumers, and pocket that $25 50 months per household account. But until that bottom line reaches a specific number or is even viably profitable, these corporate NFL fat cats will stay the course, and we will all still be watching the NFL on illegal streams while the NFL still operates exclusive TV deals like it's 2002. But hey, the DirecTV deal expires in 2022. Maybe then we can watch our own teams out of market without having to shell out almost $600 a year to DirecTV because they overpaid for exclusive rights. Fucking fat cats. You know what? Cancel the DirecTV, Klaus. This podcast is taking a stand. All right, let's get to the staff report.
In my hand, I hold the staff report.
So this week is do or die for the Bears quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. Even if he's successful, it's not going to be enough for his detractors. And honestly, this is about more than Trubisky's overall performance. Can he throw the ball for more than 4 yards? Can he throw the ball accurately and consistently? And let's just say he takes a step in the right direction. The first thing I'm pointing out, like his detractors will, is that he did this against a battered 2-5 Chargers team whose defense is meh at best. I was very outspoken about this Trubisky draft pick a few years ago. I feel the Bears overpaid for a quarterback who was drafted way too early, and not to mention ahead of 2 quarterbacks who have way more talent. I believe Trubisky didn't start till his senior year and only played 13 games, so how that was not a red flag to Ryan Pace, that's only something he'll ever be able to answer. Trubisky is wildly inaccurate for a quarterback with 31 games under his belt and is being lapped by 2 guys drafted almost 10 spots down who have played maybe half the games Trubisky has. And you're probably sitting there thinking, but Joe, that's an argument for Trubisky. These other guys haven't been thrown into the fire and had a year to sit. Well, it doesn't matter. This is what I like to call the old eye test. What do your eyes tell you when you watch Mahomes, Deshaun Watson throw a deep ball that lands right into the hands of a running receiver? Actually, you can use Aaron Rodgers in that. Mahomes, Watson, Rodgers. Watch them throw a ball. I mean, especially Rodgers. I mean, that's a horrible comparison, but that's kind of where you want to see a quarterback progress to. I mean, Rodgers throws the ball Some of these receivers don't even have to stretch their arms out. It just lands there. Mahomes, Watson, I mean, they're showing a lot of progress for guys who've played maybe 50% of the games Mitch Trubisky has. And where was I here? Then you watch, Mitch try to make a similar throw, and he's either missing it by overthrowing the ball by 5 yards or throwing to the wrong shoulder, or as we saw last Sunday, completely missing an easy 3rd and short throw to Gabriel, Jesus. Or inaccurately throwing a slant route to an outstretched Allen Robinson, who stretched his arms and caused the ball to be dislodged from his hands on another 3rd down. Again, if the receiver doesn't have to stretch to catch the ball, this is what my main issue with this guy is. This is the other thing that drives me at the wall. I'm reading in the news that, in practice he's making these throws, but when it comes to game time, he's not. That's just Matt Nagy covering for the guy. He's wildly inaccurate. I mean, again, it's burned into my brain. That Allen Robinson 3rd down, that should have just been right in his hands. It hit his hands. I get that. And, when the ball hits the receiver's hands, they should be able to make the catch. But the quarterback should also be able to throw the ball and put it right there in his hands without him having to stretch out. Rick Meyer, Dave Craig, Shane Matthews, Cade McNown, Jim Miller, Chris Chandler, Cordell Stewart, Rex Grossman, Craig Krenzel, Chad Hutchinson, Jonathan Quinn, Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton, Rex Grossman, Super Bowl game manager Rex Grossman, Brian Greasy, Kyle Orton, Rex Grossman, Jay Cutler, Caleb Haney, Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, Matt Barkley, Jay Cutler, Brian Hoyer, Mike Glennon. And now we could probably add to this list Mitch Trubisky. So if this is the end of Trubisky, who's his replacement? A free agent? Another draft pick? If you're listening to Colin Cowherd, he's been saying that the Bears trade for Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to break that down in 1 second. The Bears don't have a first round this year, and unless they can find a Diamond, a Dak, or a Russell Wilson in the rough in the 3rd or 4th round, well, that's not really a good plan to rely on. So a free agent it is. And let's be honest, based on the list I've read off, 90% of those guys were free agents. I'm talking about that long list of Bears quarterbacks through the years. And that was all in order, by the way. So we know how this is going to end. And excuse my pessimism, but I'm keeping the pom-poms in the back pocket. So let's bring in a few names here. I did mention Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe, but he had some inconsistent throws when he's pressured. And if he's throwing the rock from behind the Bears' offensive line, that's another quarterback we can add to that long list. Well, what about Chase the Bank Daniels? I like to call him the Bank. Well, at least I did in that first game. I don't think that's going to work. I mean, coming off the bench, he looks great. Because, most of I forgot, he played the Vikings when Mitch got injured. So the Vikings weren't preparing to play Chase Daniels, and he looked pretty good. But like the like the Raiders, if you have time to prepare for Chase Daniels, well, you've seen the results. And it doesn't help that the defense is missing Akeem Hicks, and they got gashed by their running back. That guy's fast, by the way. What about Marcus Mariota? His offensive coordinator is running the offense in Chicago right now. I think that guy worked with him in Oregon. So, that's going to work. Except, I haven't seen this guy do anything exceptional since his Oregon days. And that was when Obama was still in office. Honestly, the bar is so low at this point, as long as you can throw accurately beyond 5 yards, it's possible that could be the answer. Not the answer, but an answer. What about Alex Smith? No. But he played under Matt Nagy. No. He was the first round. No. But nothing. That's a hard no. No Alex Smith. What about Josh Rosen, Miami quarterback? This is intriguing. It would be his 3rd team in the same amount of years. He's still young, unproven, and has yet to find a team that's willing to keep him longer than 1 year. This may be an out there opinion, but I'd be for this roster move. And then here's your hottest of hot takes of hot takes. Tom Brady. Holy hot take, Batman! Tom put his house on the market in Massachusetts. His trainer is selling his house. He has set up his contract to be void after this season. As Adam Schefter has said, Connect the dots. If I'm putting my money on this, I'm betting either Brady retires or he re-signs with the Pats. But if there's something boiling under the surface here that is being buried by the shut-up-and-play culture and Brady defects to free agency for another contract with another team, you can't say the Bears are a bad landing spot. They have a top 5 defense with a window that's slightly open for a championship. A team built to win now, similar weather. The only hesitation on TB's part I could see would be the lackluster offensive line. Like I said, holy hot take, Batman. But remember, Favre played his last 2 years for the Vikings. And if we didn't have Cutler at the turn of the decade, I might be in possession of a number 4 Bears jersey. I'm just saying. And that's the staff report.
We're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day.
The staff reports.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. We got one more podcast to go, and then it's off to Hawaii. Thanks for listening to Ready Said Podcast. Check us out on Spreaker. Give us a like and a follow. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating and review. It really helps get the podcast out there. We're also on Mixcloud. We're on YouTube. Don't forget to give us a like on our Ready Said Podcast Facebook page. Leave a comment or send us an email. This is your one-stop shop current events and politics podcast. If society's a joke, then we're just here for the first set. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please share the podcast if you'd like to support us. And we'll see you next week for one last time, you fucks. Thanks for listening to the Ready Set Podcast. Check us out next week, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and look for us on our YouTube channel, Ready Set Podcast.